we'll just get into it. And I have hair
Awesome.
all up in my face, and I don't know if it's mine or Arlo's. It's
Oh
probably
no, you have
Arlo's.
hair. Tragic.
You can borrow Arlo if you want. He has
I'm
plenty
growing
to
my
spare.
beard. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, fair, fair. All right, so welcome back to Intellectual Potluck. We are going to be combining James's two loves, which is science and gaming.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, or the science of gaming.
Yeah. Big
Yeah.
evolving field at the moment. It's pretty cool.
So you'll probably have a lot more, I guess, real world knowledge on this. I will just have my own gaming experience and the bits and pieces that I've researched. But I guess what I wanted to look at was because I know that gaming can help you develop different skills, it can help
Yeah.
your brain, but I know so often it gets a really bad rap and it's just like you're pissing around on video games and not really achieving anything.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
I mean, before we start, like obviously I've got some experience, I've got some scientific background. So just to clarify, I'm not like world leading expert. So if I get it
But
wrong,
science is science, James, remember. It's
depends who you ask. So I suppose we can start like one of the most anecdotal things I can think of is Scrubs. If you remember the TV show Scrubs from years and years ago, and
Yeah.
the character Turk on there talks about how video games help with coordination with surgery and fine motor skills. And I said again, that sounds pretty cool. You have a look into it afterwards, and it has been shown that using the joysticks, because you move your fingers finely, because using these fine motor skills with your fingers, you are adjusting your physicality, you're adjusting how your fingers work, how your dexterity works. And also because in games, you're constantly thinking of micro decisions. So let's take, for example, Oblivion, which we were just talking about. In a fight in Oblivion, you're thinking about your mana resourcement, you're thinking about your health, you think about your stamina, you think about what's around you, you're moving. So all these little decisions you're making is coordinating you to be able to think quicker and respond quicker. So these are skills you can use in life in the sense that you make lots of micro decisions. Like today, for example, you to set your setup you've got here, you've had to decide where to put it, the lighting, the headphones, where to put grants, the usual stuff. So, it's
Hidden
interesting.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hadn't really thought about it, but when you play video games with someone who hasn't really played before, you can
Yeah.
really see the difference in like the extra thought that it takes. Like even just things like moving the move analog stick differently to the camera analog
Yeah.
stick. You don't realize how much extra brain power that takes unless it's just automatic
Yeah.
to a lot of us now. But it is a skill.
It's like trying to write with your left hand when you're right-handed, or if you're left-handed, write with your right hand. You've trained yourself in such a way over years to be able to do something without thinking. So, for example, when Mel first started playing video games, I started off on Mass Effect 2, I think it was, and watching her, she couldn't move both sticks at the same time. So she was walking forward, looking, walking that way. And I was sitting there going, just do it at the same time. It's really easy, but it takes years. And I've been playing games since a very long time. I can't remember the actual number, but let's not go there. But I think it's sort of, in terms of development as well, so something like The Last of Us example's got a great TV series. The game is evocative in terms of how we think and how we tell stories. But that makes you think and refines how you can think about the world because you've experienced something which you would never experience. Like, hope to God, nothing like that happens. But you're experiencing, what would I do? You think about how these things do. Not necessarily you're always going to apply it, but you've always got these little things, which I find interesting.
Yeah, or games where you have to make lots of decisions and your decisions impact the outcome. Those games really stress me out because I always want the good outcome and sometimes there isn't one. But they're really, really informative for how like a little decision can create such a big thing. Like I know that Until Dawn has a big thing about the butterfly effect. So lots of small things that you can do, like I insulted this person, and so now later on they're not going to save me when I'm falling off a cliff. Something like that. It's an extreme example, but yeah, it's really interesting. I think it can help you to just think things through a little bit extra.
Yeah. I mean, I think you think of something like a video game. As I said, it's an open medium where you're learning, you're experiencing things, you are the character. Mentally, you're thinking through, how does this work? If I was this character, how would I do things? In the game, you're thinking, I've got to run away from this boss. So if you think of something like Elden Ring, for example, the story is very much like you have to find it yourself, and there's loads of YouTube channels telling you, which is great. But the actual gameplay, you're constantly thinking, I need to move there. If I do this, how do I do that? Always going to attack me, do this, do that. So by learning to make lots of small decisions very quickly, you can apply it to your own life. So if you think of your working life, it's the same sort of thing. Not obviously you're fighting a monster, but I suppose work can be quite monstrous and you can feel like it's a lot to tackle. But if you break it down to smaller tasks, which you can learn through games, it kind of helps.
Yeah. Well, I did a bit of research on, I guess, the different parts of the brain that gaming could help, and correct me if any of it's wrong, because this is just Google. But so the first thing that came up was the prefrontal cortex, which helps with cognitive functions and like decision making, planning, and impulse control. So if you're doing like a strategy game, it can really, really help this because you're planning in advance and you're learning to, I guess, manage all your different parts of your game and adapting your strategies on the go. So you are developing this part of your brain by working on these strategies.
I mean, yeah, the prefrontal cortex used for a lot of that sort of managerial side of your brain. We use it every day, we refine it. So doing something which actually stimulates it would make sense. It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym, you build muscle, you'll rip and tear your muscles as you go naturally, and you start building mass. If you don't use it, you lose it. Quite famously, the rhyme goes. And then you lose that ability, you lose the strength. The same with your mind. If you're not using it and stimulating it, there's a higher chance of you not being able to remember things or not being as strong as certain things.
Yeah, I guess it's why in like aged care settings, they encourage people a lot to do things like Sudoku and crosswords and things like that, because it just helps to keep the brain firing.
Might be a slight side note, but it's interesting to think about. So gaming's been around since I was younger, which is like in the 90s, maybe was before as well. So you're starting to see people who were originally gamers start to get older. It'd be interesting to see how, as they get towards the age where you may be having some sort of like physiological disease, such as like dementia or something like that, it'd be interesting to see how their brains are different compared to previous generations, because we've got so much more of an online culture now. We've got a gaming culture, much more, so a lot more people game, which is stimulating the brains we're talking about. So it'd be very interesting to kind of see if that actually helps in the long run.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a point where, like, let's say if you stopped gaming in your 30s and 40s, I guess whether that impact then drops off. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm sure there's some studies out there. If not, you heard it here first. But we'll see.
This can be our study.
We could try. I think it's interesting. So you talk about prefrontal cortex. The cerebellum is the one I'm more favourable with because of my own experiences with dyslexia and the door centre, which I believe is closed down now. The idea is that by doing other activities to stimulate the cerebellum, so balancing and numerical challenges, you build that up, which then helps the dyslexia, which in my case seemed to have helped. So I'm kind of a big believer in that if you are using something to stimulate the brain, it would make sense that it would help over time, and gaming seems to do that.
Yeah. And it's a very engaging way of doing it as well.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that games do to keep you engaged, which I guess they do more and more now, it's a big reward system as well.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm a really bad example because I get a bit obsessed with the trophies. The constant and like the frequent achievements that you get through gaming, it just gets you to keep going. And so it encourages you to keep that stimulation going, which can be really hard with, I guess, other things that may not be quite as interesting but might be more stimulating.
I mean, I think, you've hit the nail on the head there. So you've got this trophy system, which is a really good idea by the industry because it gives you that dopamine hit that you're getting something of satisfaction. Dopamine's released, you want to do more of it and get more. It's why a lot of games like a shooter might be more prevalent for certain people because it's instant gratification. You've got 20 kills, that's great on a game. Obviously in real life, not a good thing, but in games, it's slightly different. But slower games like The Last of Us or Oblivion would be a prime example, which it could be up to 100 hours long at least. You've got to think about this gratification. You've got to think about how you're building up, and that sort of slow release of dopamine, when it hits, is good. So the trophy system keeps you going.
Yeah. I think it's just really interesting how, I guess, this reward system to keep other people engaged for something that can then help their brain in the long run, potentially. But then, I mean, there's also the downside of that where the real world doesn't give the same level of, like, achievement and dopamine. So
yeah,
there is the flip side where you've then got people who are so used to this constant gratification, and then the real world doesn't work like that. So I guess that's where the moderation comes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because obviously, like the old classic conversation you'll have, like politicians might say, is like video games cause violence, and I don't actually believe the studies in that. Like, I think a lot of it could be biased. I think if you're playing certain games for a long period of time, it might cause something, but I don't think there's a direct sort of correlation of I've played Call of Duty for this amount of hours, I'm more likely to kill someone. That's different matter. I will say though that games can be quite good and bad for mental health. So gaming generally is escapism. So sort of, you literally play hours of Skyrim. I don't even know how many hours I've played that game, honestly. I don't want to know. But the downside of that is you hear about these cases. There's one I heard about a few years ago where a couple played World of Warcraft so much they neglected their child, and the child got extremely ill, and then something like that happened.
I've heard that World of Warcraft is particularly addictive. I've never actually played it, but I have heard that people have had to effectively ban themselves from it to stop them from getting addicted.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, you've become a dopamine addict in the fact that you're doing something to continuously gratification. I mean, there's a whole Black Mirror episode about that, essentially, which is the Black Museum one. There's a part of that which kind of relates to this. But we're going slightly not that extreme, thankfully. So
Yeah, I mean, Black Mirror is definitely extreme, but what's so clever about Black Mirror is that it stays just enough in reality that it's like, it could happen. It
definitely.
Probably won't, but it could happen. Interestingly, Black Mirror came up when I was talking to Mel yesterday as well.
It's great. It's very interesting kind of seeing how the brain can make these links, and like our worst case scenarios are not far removed. So there's been recently in the news about a dire wolf being brought back from extinction.
I saw that.
Yeah, that it's incredible. But then somebody's then gone, well, why can't we bring back a woolly mammoth? And then they made a woolly mouse to prove that they could. And it's really cute, the woolly mouse, like, edit it in afterwards if you want. It's really small and cute. But it's like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. I love how someone asked for a woolly mammoth and they're like, well, here's a woolly mouse. We're close.
It's fluffy. It's cute. What more do you want?
Yeah. Same thing, really.
I mean, have you seen this? Like, have you read about how big they get? Like woolly mammoths, they are colossal.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fully on board with them not making the woolly mammoth. I don't think that's the answer.
I don't think Arlo would like that. Woolly mammoth in the background.
No.
But
yeah, we actually we went to a wildlife place today, and there was dingoes there, and some of them looked so much like Arlo, but were like, he wouldn't cope. Like,
yeah. I mean, what do you think, or sort of like with the video games cause violence sort of thing? Do you think that's true, false, bit of both?
I personally don't think it's true. I haven't done extensive research into it, so I couldn't say categorically. But like you say, Call of Duty is a huge game. I don't know if army numbers have increased since then, but everyone I know who used to play Call of Duty hasn't joined the army.
Yeah.
Everyone who plays GTA, they're not all suddenly out stealing cars.
Yeah.
Everyone who plays Goat Simulator doesn't think they're a goat. It's
not the one I thought you'd go with, if I'm honest, but yeah, Goat Simulator, real game.
I nearly said Farming Simulator, but then I was like,
knew
no,
you did.
Goat Simulator.
I knew it.
Yeah. So, no, we're going crazy.
It's good, Goat Simulator. I mean, all these experiences, all these games you've played do shape you in some way. I don't think they necessarily turn you into a murderer or, somebody who's quite toxic. Well,
no, and I would argue that a lot of those games, they don't have happy endings. Like,
no.
I seem to remember GTA 5 distinctly not having a happy ending.
I don't think I ever finished it. I think I just messed about on it the entire game, which is part of the fun of it.
That's pretty much what it's for. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Call of Duty, I don't think ever really has a happy ending, because a lot of the time you switch from one guy to another, and there's an assumption that your previous guy is no longer alive, and it's not like you do all of these things and then you're luxuriating in a life of luxury at the end of it. Heavy Rain is another example.
Great game.
Okay, there is a bad ending where the bad guy wins, but he's not living a great life out of it, Yeah,
it's a good game though. But
it is a good game. I need to replay it though, so that.
Yeah, well, you know who does it though? It kind of ruins it a little bit. But I just love the meme of it where you get the bug where you just keep shouting Jason every 10 seconds. It's hilarious.
Jason!
Jason! It's like, wow, guys.
I know. I watched Grant play it after I'd already played it and knew the ending and knew the Jason thing. And so when he was in the Jason bit, I was just going, Jason! And he was like, what are you doing?
It's like everyone knows the Jason bit.
I was like, it's Jason. He's looking for Jason. He's like, okay, but where is Jason? I was like, you'll find him. It's fine.
It's a classic one.
Oh, and then after what then happens to Jason, who's like, "You were laughing about this," and I'm like, "It's
I'm
not
vindictive. What can I
that."
say? It's like the meme, not what actually happens.
Yeah, it's the Jason part, not the Jason part.
Yeah, but
But
yeah,
also like I mean, there's so many positive games, like all the happy, cozy, feel good games, like your Stardew Valleys and
Animal Crossing would be one, I think. Like that's
yeah,
highly
yeah,
addictive, and people spend many, many
forever.
hours in that, and that helps relax you. I mean, I was going to mention a bit earlier. So, like, we talked about the find most skills with games with the controller. We talked about making micro decisions, and the next part of that would then be kind of the release of hormones, so dopamine, get your relaxation, that sort of thing. Adrenaline as well. That's quite obviously everyone knows what adrenaline does. You kind of feel more hyped, but it does have a positive effect on the body as well. Like you kind of get that rush of blood.
Mm.
You get that sort of release of tension, I suppose. So yeah, it's interesting. The physiological parts of the brain which are developing, but when you're a teenager, your brain's still developing until about, as a man, I think it's about 21. For a woman, it's about 18, 19 sort of thing. So it's not too far off. But imagine how, if you're playing games all the time, could that affect your brain in the long run? You'd have to look at some more studies for that. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah, and I think potentially, but I think there's good with the bad. I don't know which one would outweigh the other, but
Hmm.
in terms of developing skills, I think that everything leans very heavily on the good side. In terms of influences, potentially on the bad. I think especially if kids get into the realm of online gaming, it
Yeah.
can be very hard to, I guess, moderate that. And you would hope that it becomes, this big encouraging team thing and everyone's happy and lovely and supporting each other. But in reality, I strongly doubt that's always how it goes.
I mean, I think it's interesting because like there's the way it's portrayed in the media, which is like every person's horrible online and all this and that. I play online with my mates. We don't have really many issues. If somebody tries to, troll us, we just kind of ignore it. But then
Yeah.
I suppose because I'm older, I've not grown up with this massive online community. Like I've grown up playing solo player games, playing Call of Duty online, not have my mic on. And you do hear some idiots, but you just mute them. I
Yeah.
think the problem is though, in a developed brain, such as like adults, I think you can kind of see the fact and fiction. So if somebody's just being a dick, you can just kind of go, okay, I'm mute, we'll just do whatever. Some people don't. A lot of people just kind of ignore it. As a child, though, because your brain's still developing, you haven't had the experiences an adult has. You are more likely probably going to react, and that can cause issues later on. So that's where you get you griefing,
Yeah.
you trolling, your bullying, you cyberbullying essentially, because they can get you that way. So it's quite interesting seeing how these kids are developing now.
Yeah, and it's kind of like there's no privacy in like so many games are online. You've constantly got your phone. Everyone's
Yeah,
on the internet constantly. Like everything is always with other people. Like finding a nice, quiet, isolated moment is probably really hard now.
yeah. Which ironically is when you go and play games which you don't have online, because then you get your escapism. So you can kind of get bullied, do your escapism, and continue on that way. Or you go to work, you're stressed, you come back, play your game, etc. It'd be very interesting to see how kids at the moment are getting used to it, because there's a lot more social media than when we were growing up. You obviously do more about it than I do because you do podcast and you do your channel. I don't tend to, but it's sort of like these kids have a lot more pressure. So I wonder how their brain has developed because of this brand new technology. Whereas we were kind of just as it was coming in. Like I remember dial up, if you remember
Yeah.
that.
Oh God.
Yeah,
The sound is going through my head.
I
I'm
knew it would.
gonna see if I can find the sound and I'll just drop it in here, but
Just make me look depressed.
haunts
Like,
our dreams, yeah. And it would go for so long, and you're like, is it ever gonna connect? Like,
and then just as you connect, somebody picks the phone up and you have to start again.
yeah. As someone who really enjoys games, I think I see more positives than negatives. And
Yeah,
I think that there's so much potential. I think especially with adults, I mean, like with kids, your brains are developing, so you're going to take in the positives and the negatives and everything in between.
yeah,
But with adults, I think we've reached a point where things are so advanced. Like we've got VR now, and
yeah,
there's so much potential with that. Like being able to simulate,
yeah.
like being able to simulate pretty much any scenario, but also like there's flight simulators and stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
there's driving simulators. it should be really familiar by the time you're actually behind
Yeah.
the wheel, so to speak.
I mean, some of the simulators are fantastic, and I'm thinking of a documentary I watched with the Fire Festival, and it had like the guy going, "We learned how to fly the plane with Flight Simulator. Use Microsoft Flight Simulator." As you were saying it, it's like, oh god.
Oh
Um,
no.
but
I
it's
retract everything I said.
apparently they survived, so it's fine. We can now do these simulations. We can now do these things to kind of enable people to learn these skills they never learned before. I mean, I think there's some potential about surgical simulations where they use like the Oculus, they have the headset and that.
Yeah, like
The
the
one
surgery
thing,
sims.
the one thing I'd say about though is the difference between virtual reality and reality is the tactile sensation. You can't feel that. So yes, you may be able
Yeah.
to simulate driving, you may be able to see something going on, but you don't know the feel of steering wheel or how to turn or how hard to turn or how hard to brake. You just know brake.
Yeah.
And surgeries particularly that you've got these very fine motor skills. So, obviously I've gone off and done my PhD, masters, worked in a bit of industry, worked in as a postdoc for a bit. I've learned lots of very specific scientific skills, and that has required me to physically do it, get it wrong, learn, acquire these skills over time. A simulator would help me understand the basic principles, yeah, which is great, but the physically doing it is very different. And
Yeah.
it's good in one respect, but we need to be careful not to think that virtual reality solves all problems because
Oh yeah.
it can't.
Yeah, no, it's a good supporting tool, I
Hmm.
suppose. Like
Yeah,
definitely not a replacement for in person, but
oh,
yeah,
definitely.
I like it being able to help and support. And I mean the other thing I was thinking as well, like if you've got like physiotherapists and occupational therapists and people like that, things like, the Switch or the Wii or like I know
Yeah,
that one of my nephews, he uses the Ring
the
Fit.
being fit. Yeah,
Yeah, he's obsessed with it, and
it's
it's
good
really
fun.
good for
To be
burning
fair.
his energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
but stuff like that would be so good, especially like if you're working with kids. If you can give them like a game to do their therapy with, that would help so much and actually get them to do it rather than
Yeah, I
pretend they've done it.
mean, it's interesting you say that because at unis and in schools, there's this big thing called gamification where you're trying to adjust lessons which are dull inherently and give it like a gaming chance to have this, as we talked about, like a reward system that you do X amount, you get an achievement or trophy, and then it kind of helps you progress or turning it into a fun activity because if I asked you to tell me the gist of Macbeth, for example, you probably could. If I asked you to tell me how a cell does respiration, it might take you more time. You have to read about it. But if I asked you to tell me the storyline, The Last of Us, Part One, you probably could tell me because you've emotionally invested. You've got that dopamine hit. You've made associations. Makes it easy to remember. Whereas you probably don't remember respiration. I know nothing of Macbeth apart from like a bit of a problematic story, but it's the
Little bit.
idea is that you make these associations, which is why gamification is quite good, that you are associating things with something enjoyable.
Yeah, it's kind of like how sometimes I remember something, but I'll hear a song and it'll remind me of something. It's like the song is associated with
Oh yeah,
the memory. It's kind of like that. Like the song is a positive thing, so it's brought the positive into like the learning thing of what I was doing.
yeah. I
That might just
mean,
be a me thing,
no,
but
it's quite well documented actually in terms of smells. Quite good one as well. The idea is
mm,
that you stimulate the olfactory senses, which is the nose. It's a nerve in the nose here. And the idea is that by using the smell, by remembering a smell, it helps trigger other memories. So there's been cases where somebody who's got quite poor dementia hit. I think they were a concert pianist for like years and years. Got dementia, can't talk much, but the moment they heard one piece of music, they got onto the piano and started playing flawlessly because they've learnt it so many times. It's re-triggered the memory. Obviously,
yeah,
dementia's and Alzheimer's is slightly it's a degradation of the neurons, the memory, so that's a whole other thing. But the idea is that you do have this ability to remember due to lots of different sensations. Going to somewhere you've been before, smelling something, hearing the same things, even wearing
yeah.
the same clothes can sometimes stimulate it. Like it's one of those things.
I guess for you being in teaching as well, you would
Yeah,
be trying to think of all of these different things that you can do to help the kids to retain things or to keep their interest throughout the lesson as well, and like
yeah,
gamifying some of that to
yeah. I mean,
keep
it's
that
not
going.
easy, and I'm a beginner teacher. I'm still learning my ways around that. as a teacher, you're trying to help young minds learn information. As I've just said, that you want it to be fun and engaging, but sometimes you can't make it fun and engaging. You just have to get the facts across. So like recently I was teaching about the rock cycle. It's not my favorite area of science. It's something I have to know.
I didn't know there was I'd forgotten there's a rock cycle.
Exactly.
I've blocked that out.
Wow.
I'm just
Teaching's
like,
looking
what
good right now.
well, I'm just like, what does the rock is a rock is a rock. It just sits there like.
No.
Oh, you mean the different types of rock, don't you? Like the
So it goes
one
from magma or lava, goes out, flows down the
that's
volcano,
it.
cools, and it goes down, breaks down to sediment. Sediment goes down into the earth, and then that gets pressurized with heat and pressure to cause I've completely forgot what the rock's called now. Sedimentary. Metamorphic is the one above, and that would be. That's really bad. I'll remember later. You're Googling it now, aren't you?
Yep.
So it should be metamorphic, and
Metamorphic, magma,
yeah,
igneous,
igneous is the one at the top.
sedimentary rock, and then back around to metamorphic.
You'll probably
I'll
be able to see
include
a picture of a volcano.
picture.
Yeah, there you go. But like that's my point. Like I'm teaching this and I forget bits of it. You've learned
I blocked it out.
and you've blocked it out. Whereas your favourite subject was always English and history and art, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah.
you probably remember quite a lot about, I know, the usual one, the classic, like World War II or World War One. You probably remember some key facts there. The Treaty of Versailles, you probably remember what that is and how that was.
Well, I've started doing history-related podcast episodes because it's like
there you go.
I'm trying to I guess reignite. I haven't been able to study history in ages, and I'm like, I want an excuse to do it. So it's been really, really interesting. And I started doing one about like the Cold War and Soviets, and all of this stuff just came flooding back, and I was like, oh wow, forgot that was in my brain.
See, that is from a neurological point of view. The idea is that over time your neural network starts to not be used as much. So the idea is that it starts to degrade a little bit. And because it's not used as much, it'll eventually degrade completely. But if you start reusing it, you open the synaptic pathways. You have this link to. So for you, it'd be, the Cold War, Russia, USSR. That's about the extent of my knowledge of the Cold War. I know USSR. But the idea is that you have all these different links in. Even if you've not used it for a while, it'll come back. It's the same with like doing sports. If you've done a sport, say like tennis, and then you played badminton, you've still got the same motor skills you've learned, but you have to adjust them. So you're still using the same synapses, same muscle groups, but you've had to adjust it to a new way, some sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's like your brain has kind of filed it away, but it's somewhere like nice and quiet in the corner of your brain where it's not gonna disturb you until you need it, and then it can be like, let's brush off the cobwebs and
exactly,
here you go.
I mean, after a while, it might not be possible to do it completely. You might not remember everything, like stuff I've probably forgotten, I don't even realize, but you did know it at one point in time. So the idea is that you could strengthen the brain through, not physically strengthen, but like make the connections better. You can make them stronger. You can make more of them by retraining yourself or continuously doing the same thing over and over again, which again links back to our discussion earlier. We were talking about motor skills. You keep doing the same thing over and over again, you get better at it.
Yeah, and I don't think I fully appreciated how much bringing this back to gaming, like I'm so used to using a controller, so my motor skills for a controller are very, very good.
Yeah.
We went to an arcade today and played arcade games.
Yeah.
I was so bad, and I was so frustrated. I played Mortal Kombat, and I was like, right, I know what I'm doing. Could not for the life of me, couldn't do anything. Could barely make it past the first stage. And
I know exactly what you mean. I had the exact same experience a while ago. I was like, oh yeah, I can play rock, but I can play Guitar Hero. I played it years ago. I'm really good. And I couldn't even play like a single note. I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing.
Yes,
and then they'll beat me
there were all
on it
these
as well.
little kids around me who were like watching, and I was like, can you not? Like, I'm having a moment here.
It's like, I'm just having existential crisis of how bad I am at this.
I thought I was good at gaming. Can you leave me alone? And then, of course, they hop on and they're amazing. And I'm like, you're too young for arcade games. What are you doing? Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. No, it was a very humbling moment today.
It really is. But you see some little kid who's like 10 and he's absolutely amazing. You're there going like, oh, God.
Oh, they're so good. Yeah.
It's like playing Fortnite, for example. Like, me and my mates play the Fortnite Zero build because I physically can't get my head around doing like the building and shooting. I've not been able to do it. Whereas I see some people online just like, oh yeah, jump, make this build and do this, and they're going like, no, I'm just gonna shoot them. That's all I can do.
Yeah, it's like working two different parts of your brain at the
Yeah.
same time. You're almost in like, you've got the Minecraft side of build these walls, and then
Yeah.
the COD side of shoot this gun. And
Yeah.
yeah, I can't get the two to come together either.
Yeah, I get it.
But I mean,
Yeah,
whenever we have people over to our house as well, we always play video games. Like
Oh yeah.
it's kind of the thing that we do at our place. So yeah, it gives us an excuse to have people over.
I mean, you've got Jackbox, which is really easy. Everybody's got a phone, so that's really easy. I mean, that's even used in teaching and in lecturing as well. So you use, I think it's Vvox is one we used. And the idea is that students can log in on their phones, you post a question and they answer it, and then it comes up on the screen. So this gamification where you've got this reward system, and whoever gets the best gets the pride of winning. In primary schools or secondary schools, you get like maybe chocolate or a lolly or something.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Definitely more interesting than write it on the answer sheet, then hand it all in, and we'll do lots of big red X's.
Mate, it's easier for marking for teaching. I can tell you that for certain.
That's so true, yeah. I guess the general conclusion would be that gaming is a really good tool as long as you use it right and use it in moderation.
Exactly right, yeah. There's a lot of pros to it if you do it in moderation. The fact you can help your mental well-being, it can help develop your brain, fine motor skills physically as well, makes you feel good, and it can be more social. But the downsides are that it can be highly addictive. It can cause, I remember reading about Matthew Perry from Friends, Chandler from Friends.
Yeah.
He played Fallout 3 so much, his hand stayed in a claw shape like that.
Oh.
So physically, things like that can happen as well. I'm fairly certain that's why my hands sit like that. I've played games for too long. But like the physical side can also be quite detrimental. Like obviously there's the whole standard sort of thing of gamers being, morbidly obese, Cheetos all down them and stuff like that. And it's not the case.
Yeah.
Some may be like that. But with online communities, more and more people can check in on each other, which is good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I know during COVID as well, like that was such a big thing, like being able to connect through gaming online and make sure that everyone was okay and give you something to do with each other that didn't involve actually physically being together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty good conclusion, I think. Games are awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we were always going to fall on the side of gaming, but there are genuine positives and genuine science to back it.
Yep, I mean, have a look online, look on Google to find some research articles. Don't trust Wikipedia. It's good for a quick kind of check, but yeah, some really good research papers out there, particularly for gaming, for social sciences, for those sort of things. So if you're interested, they can be quite wordy, some of them, but there's some really good ones which are quite similar. New Scientist is a magazine type article which is written for anybody to read. So they're quite good if you're interested.
Yeah, no, cool. I'll probably be looking those up afterwards.
You can text me if you've got any issues with them.
Yeah. James, what do these big words mean? You can be my new Google.
I'll just Google them.
Yeah. Cool. Well, no, I think that's about it. So, I mean, thank you so much to anyone who's listened, and of course, thank you, James, for joining us again and sharing your wisdom.
I mean, you can call it that. Yeah, it's been really fun talking about it. I hope it's been interesting, and it's going to be very interesting next few years to see how gaming affects people.
Yeah, I think once our generation gets to be old, I think that there's going to be a lot of learnings going on there, because I think our generation is a big one for gaming, and then we'll be able to see, I guess, what it leads to.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.